My name is Alina Forrest, and I am 28 years old. I live in a little town called Willow Creek, a peaceful place where the air is crisp, the trees are tall, and the small apartment complex I call home has about 30 units. It is the kind of place where neighbors greet each other with a nod and a smile, but most of us keep to ourselves. I like it that way, a cozy, quiet existence. But the calm of my life was shattered by the arrival of my downstairs neighbor, whose black pickup truck seemed to cast a shadow over my personal serenity. This truck was enormous. I mean, really enormous, taking up nearly 1.5 parking spots, which would have been just fine if he had only parked it in the right place. You see, I have an assigned parking spot, number 14. That number is painted in yellow, albeit a fading yellow, but it is there nonetheless. Unfortunately, my neighbor, let's call him Jard, began to think that spot was just a suggestion. At first, it was only once in a while. I knocked on his door the first time I saw his truck parked in my space, and to my surprise, he was very nice about it. He apologized and even offered me a beer, which I turned down because it was 11 in the morning. He promised it wouldn't happen again. But a few days later, there it was, his monstrous black vehicle parked right in my designated spot once more. Frustrated, I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt and approached him again. This time, he gave me a ridiculous excuse, claiming he had forgotten because the number on my spot was fading, and he sometimes mistook it for spot 11, which was unassigned. I could hardly believe anyone could think like that, but he seemed genuine. I felt a mix of irritation and disbelief. This was not how adults acted, or at least not how I expected them to act. So, I took matters into my own hands. I bought a can of yellow spray paint for $6 and spent a mere 20 minutes bringing my spot back to life, coating the number 14 in bright, eye-catching yellow. I was proud of my handiwork, and I snapped a photograph of the freshly painted spot. Then, with a sense of satisfaction, I sent the picture along with a note to the building management, explaining the situation and requesting that they send Jard a formal notice. I wanted him to know that the next time he parked in my spot, it would result in a tow at his expense. The initial rush of taking control was exhilarating, but things took a turn for the worse shortly after. Jard parked in my spot again, not even 2 weeks later. My heart sank as I stared at his truck occupying not just my space, but also my peace of mind. It felt like a direct challenge, and I was tired of playing nice. What he didn't realize was that I had already saved the number of a local tow company. That day, I called them up, and as I sat on my balcony with a cup of coffee, I watched the events unfold like a theatrical production. I felt a thrill run through me as I saw him emerge from the building about 35 minutes later, keys in hand, confusion written all over his face. Our eyes met, and I could not help but give a little wave. He stared back at me, bewildered and silent, not even attempting to return the gesture. The feeling of triumph washed over me as I saw the tow truck pull away with his truck in tow. That was 8 months ago. Ever since, my spot 14 has remained open, eagerly awaiting my return every time I drive home. But life has a way of flipping the script on you when you least expect it. With time, I couldn't shake off the feeling that my small victory had somehow turned into a ticking time bomb. Jard grew distant and angry, and I could feel that resentment echo in the halls whenever he passed by. It made me uneasy. Was he truly finished being a nuisance, or was he just biding his time? I decided never to underestimate him again. My confidence began to falter. Was I justified in my actions, or had I overstepped? Days turned into weeks, and I began to feel the tension build like a storm. One evening, I came home later than usual, the sun already dipping below the horizon, casting its last golden rays over the complex. As I turned the corner into the parking lot, my heart dropped. Jard's truck was back, parked right in the center of my freshly painted spot. Fury ignited within me, stronger than any feeling I had experienced before. In a moment of impulse and rage, I stormed up to his door and knocked furiously. He opened the door with a smug expression, clearly aware of his provocation. "Oh, did you think you owned this whole place?" he taunted, leaning against the doorframe like he owned the world. The nerve of him pushed me past my limits. Words spilled out of me like water bursting through a dam, and before I knew it, I was yelling about respect and basic decency. But just as adrenaline surged through my veins, something snapped in his eyes. The casual smirk faded, and I watched as he straightened up, the corners of his mouth turning into a scowl. "What are you going to do about it, Alina?" he challenged, stepping closer to me. I could feel a weight pressing down upon me, a reminder that my previous actions had not solved anything, they had only fueled the fire. My heart raced with embarrassment and anger, the collective pressure of everything crashing upon me. I felt small and powerless in that moment. But as he stood there, towering over me, something inside me shifted. Anger transformed into resolve. In that very instant, I made a decision. I would not let him intimidate me. I would not allow him to derail my peace. My final strategy came to mind like a light bulb switching on in the dark. I stepped back, taking a deep breath to calm the chaos within me before turning on my heels and walking away from him. I reached for my phone, knowing exactly what step to take next. I called the building management, detailing every single attack that had unfolded over the months. I expressed my fear, my frustration, and my fight to maintain my own space. The response was swift. They agreed to intervene, an unexpected ally in my corner. The very next day, Jard was given an eviction notice for his continued disregard of the rules. The peace I had longed for returned like a lost friend, wrapping around me like a warm blanket, soothing my frayed nerves. I watched him pack up his things with a mixture of satisfaction and pity. I could see his anger boiling beneath the surface as he tried to hide his emotions. With each box he carried out, I felt lighter until he finally pulled away, leaving my spot 14 open and available for me once more. It was in that moment I realized that my victory was not just in reclaiming my space, but also in standing my ground. I learned that standing up for myself did not make me a villain. It transformed me into a stronger version of myself. Now, as I drive home each day, I glance at spot 14 with pride, knowing it is truly mine. I have not only changed my living arrangement, but also transformed my perception of conflict and resolution. Sometimes, the battles we fight are not just about the small victories, but lead to greater personal growth. And every time I see my bright yellow number 14, I am reminded that it is okay to reclaim what belongs to you.